Final Cut will figure that out for sure. Okay. We clapped our hands. We said yeah. No big deal. Just an Aridonis podcast. And we are here today with Kuma. And why don't you tell me a little bit more about what you do, why you do it, etc.
In the words of the esteemed Disney philosopher Winnie the Pooh, I am the little black rain cloud hovering over the honey tree.
Oh, okay.
For the last 25 years, I have done probably everything you can think of in terms of the music industry in one form or another. I am a producer, I am a DJ, I am a radio host hosting a weekly show here in Vancouver called The Art of Beats on CFRO on Thursday nights. I have been a booking agent, I am a label owner, I used to host a radio show on CBC Radio 2. I was and probably still am a journalist of one form or another. Yeah, I've done probably, you name it, I've probably done it.
Cool.
So.
And yet here you are in my tiny East Van bedroom, because you'll love it.
Yeah. Because after 25 years, if you don't love it, you've either given into the mighty dollar, or there's something wrong with you.
Right.
And that's the thing, is that I started writing professionally, when I was maybe 17 or 18. And the whole point behind that was simply, here's music that I love, here's something that makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. All I want is to tell you about it, and I want the hair on the back of your neck to go up in the same fashion that it does for me. And that was back in the day when actual printed magazines still existed. But there was a transition from there. It was, I was lucky to sort of leverage a lot of work that I did as a writer on blogs and in print into hosting a radio show on CBC Radio 2 for many years. And then again, here's this opportunity to spread the gospel about interesting music.
Yeah.
I've been DJing since 1995. Again, here's music. Here's music.
Let me share this with you.
Let me share this with you. So the mandate has always been just I want to blow your mind.
Right.
And we go from there.
Yeah. That's a beautiful and impassioned way to live. And and people like you are exactly like the thesis statement of everything that we need in the world is, hey, I give a shit about this. Could I talk to you about it?
Well, the thing is I love all kinds of music. Mm-hmm. My creative side is one thing, and it's diverse as hell. But I love modern composition. I love country music.
Right.
I am most well known locally probably for being the first person to sign a dubstep record in Vancouver. I have put out a house record and an ambient record this year, and I've got 2 more ambient albums coming out later on in the year.
Beautiful.
My diversity is not a bad word.
Yeah.
Because again, I love all things, and I don't feel the compelling urge to be niched to one thing.
Right. Okay. And so what was your sort of aha moment when you first sort of decided to put pen to paper? And what was that? What were you listening to that was like, I need to express this?
I was lucky in high school. I came to terms with a legendary industrial label called Wax Trax. Mm-hmm. Now, and it was one of those points in the road where I heard Ministry's Psalm 69
mm-hmm.
When I was in probably grade 9. Atrocious record now in hindsight. However, it was learning about Ministry and then going back to the fact that Ministry's first record, their classic synth pop records came out on Wax Trax.
Yeah.
Then going into Wax Trax and realizing that these 2 gay guys from Chicago started a record store and started a label, which was sort of the heartbeat of industrial at the time, but at the same time was putting out the early acid house incursions of Psychic TV mm-hmm. and Coil. And it was this lesson. It's here are these people that are essentially making the music that they want to. And it's this is amazing. I want to do this too. I do not wish to be tied to one preconceived notion.
Yeah.
And so it's okay. And so it's like the opportunity to start writing about stuff like that came up. So I was, I was 18, 19, and I was interviewing everybody from like Genesis Peorage, the late Genesis Peorage of Psychic TV, through to like Holger Schuke, who bass player of the legendary krautrock band Can. So
yeah.
getting it out there.
Yeah. Well, it just like came out swinging.
yeah, and that's the thing, right? Is that it's like, this is amazing. Can I talk to you? Can I spread the word,
right?
And sort of the mandate is still there today, because like I host a radio show here in Vancouver on CFRO called Art of Beats, and the mandate is very simply, we are representing the community. So it's producers, DJs, what have you. First hour of the show every week is the guest, and it's representative of a different genre, a different person every week, and it may be things that I think are absolutely atrocious, but that's not the point. The point is, here we have this platform, we want you to be heard,
right?
Because whether or not, like, opinion is subjective.
Of course.
Music is a gateway. So you're going to start somewhere. And you're going to hear, and you're going to be like, this is really cool. And then you're going to explore, and then you're going to find something else. And you're going to ping pong your way around. So you're going to get from like, bad trance when you're 16 to listening to Sun Ra when you're 35.
Right.
And that's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, that's what's so cool about all of it, is like everything's for somebody. And now we've got this like, all these little amplifiers all over the place with the internet and radio and everything, where you can just take these tiny little nuggets and just like, grow them into massive trees,
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is if you plant the seed, watch it grow, and go from there. Like, I still have one of the fondest memories I have, here I am, I should know better than smacking the microphone. One of my fondest memories of doing the radio show on CFRO is we had a 12-year-old do the show.
Oh,
we didn't actually, like, an old friend of mine used to do some work as an artistic coordinator for the city of Richmond. And so they used to have, like, they had a DJ room set up at one of the rec centers there, and they were like trying to teach people how to like produce and stuff. So I went and just like gave a lecture, and I gave away a couple of records that I had produced. And I told them that if any of you want to cut a mix, well, first of all, if any of you want to come down and actually play on my radio show, you're more than welcome to.
Awesome.
So the one person that did was actually young enough that his parents would not actually let him come down. Because it's like, we're not having you go down to a radio station in the downtown east side at like midnight. But he gave us a mix. So we broadcast that mix. And it was amazing to sit there and watch his Facebook page blow up, because all his friends were listening, and all his friends were cheering him on, and just so like you had like this hour's worth of Facebook posts of people just losing it, and it's 12, and it's like, yes, so that's it. It's like, here's the platform, go in, change your life.
No, and that's just sort of the whole thesis statement for what we need to be doing here in Vancouver, is to just spread that exact sentiment to every single possible outlet that we can. And and there's a lot of sort of gatekeepy stuff, especially I'm less in the electronic side of things and more in like the band scene and stuff, but there's a lot of gates.
there's a lot of politics and bullshit, and every city, like, everyone thinks, oh Lord, its grass is always greener. It's like, no, fuck off. It's like bullshit is paramount. It's always going to be there. It's how you choose to deal with it, and how you choose to go around it. It's like, are people gatekeeping? Sure, that's fine. Strike your own accord.
Right.
People wouldn't book me. I threw my own parties. People would not put out my music. I literally secured a vinyl distribution deal with somebody in the UK, and put out my own vinyl.
Find a way.
The opportunity is opportunity is there. Is it difficult? Sure. Is it fulfilling? Absolutely.
Right. Could it be easier? Yeah. Do I care?
But we're lucky too that we live in a time now where Bandcamp makes it easy. People like DistroKid make it easy. So it is like, and it's one of those things where it's like, there always needs to be a filter to a certain degree, because everybody's Jackson Pollocking it. It's like paint, shit's getting thrown against the wall. Some of it will stick, some of it will not. Find your sources that you trust, be it writers, DJs, radio hosts, what have you, podcasters. Go in and then see, and let them open up the doors for you. And then go from there.
Find the path to walk, so to speak. Well, that's it's such a sort of refreshing energy to bring into it, because I've been talking to a lot of musicians over the last couple of months, and it's been a lot of like, man, I really wish the city would, or I really wish, the bookers would, or whatever. And, sometimes it's,
I do too.
yeah, yeah.
I do too. God,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like you do the best with what you can. You develop the relationships,
Yeah.
and you work elsewhere. It's like I had a period where I might have almost like stepped. I got so fed up with music that I stopped trying to push myself publicly. I was still writing music. I was still doing things, but I got really just sort of fed up with all
The
the
machine.
stuff.
Yeah.
Machine. And then it came back to it that someone very close to me kind of nudged me and was like, she was like, get your act together,
Right.
and start putting yourself out there again, because what you're doing is good.
Yeah.
And what that turned into was multiple records with well-respected UK ambient labels. A house record that came out earlier in the year. It's a case of like, actually just have the confidence in yourself to actually go and put yourself out there again, and someone will find you. And I've put out a bunch of stuff in the last couple of years, and I'm back out there and very pleased to be working with interesting labels and being part of interesting communities, and going from there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's important to keep your friends close, especially in those sort of situations, because they're the people that are going to, like, I have one or two people that I know for a fact, if I put something out, are going to listen to it. And sometimes it's just like, sometimes I'm about to delete something and be like, this is over, and it's and then I can say, oh, well, you know what, they're like, I know that there's at least two people out here that would get something out of this, so I need to, I gotta do it, and it's an important frame of mind to step into sometimes, especially when you realize that it's like, maybe what I'm making isn't for me right now, and it's a very, it can go both ways, and I love that about music.
I have fond memories of being tapped on the back at a bar.
Yeah.
I was at the Lotus downtown many years ago, and it was probably 1:30 in the morning, and I was getting myself a Stella. Probably, actually, I think it was at the drum and at the now retired drum and bass net, and somebody taps me on the back. He's like, "Are you Kuma?" And I'm like, "Should I be concerned about this?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I am." And it's like, "I just want to thank you." And I'm like, "I have no idea who you are. What's going on here?" And so this person had heard me play music in 1995, 1996 in a little town called Campbell River
Right.
on Vancouver Island, literally when I was just first starting to get my feet wet.
Crazy.
And she was like, what you were doing then was paramount to me taking my own first steps. And going on and like getting into music.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I wanted to thank you for that. And that's still to like this day, it's like literally, that's it.
Yeah.
Like if I've done that,
Yeah.
like
Mission
I'm
accomplished,
I'm
baby.
good.
Yeah.
It's like, do I want to play around the world? Yes. Would
Yeah.
it be nice to make a significant profit from the records I put out? Yes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just knowing that you've had a tangible effect on someone's life in that fashion.
That's the next piece of fuel, on the fire, because it starts with you're in your room figuring out how to make sounds, and then it's to sort of you get these little embers going, and then all of a sudden to get something like that, that's what really, like, you're just like, oh, this is so much bigger than I ever thought it could be, regardless of the size of it. And it's kind of what it becomes, what it's all about in some standard, but it's also important to look outside of the bullshit, not make it for everybody else, make the thing you want to hear, and then somebody's gonna love it.
No, that's I think what a lot of people need to remember.
Yeah.
Is that doing you
Yeah.
is okay. It's just fine.
Yeah.
Because like I can't write a piece to imitate someone else to save my life. I learned that a long time ago. I tried writing like stereotypically wobbly reggae sampling dubstep. It sounds like Kuma. All these things. I write a drum and bass record to sound like someone else. It sounds like Kuma.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But people pick up on it. They know it's you. It has that signature, and they react. And if they react well to it, that's marvelous.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for it.
Yeah, no, it's always it's funny how, because I've done a similar thing where I'm really vibing on the second LCD sound system record, so I'm gonna sit down and just like make that, and then it's it's it what I it just looks like me in a James Murphy costume, you know, at the end of the day. It's this really and it's like not even a good costume, it's like a cheap Halloween costume. It's like I can see what you're going for, but I know that that's you, you know.
Losing my edge spawned 1,000 imitators.
Yeah.
Most of them atrocious.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, it's like if at least someone is out there trying to stick, you know, an 808 and a modular synth on top of an indie band,
Yeah.
why the fuck not? Go
Yeah.
in, whatever.
Yeah,
Go
please.
in, try something.
Yeah, yeah. Ah, man, what a great track. But just yeah, it's important to find yourself too in all of this, because sometimes, you know, you start out with this, you know, top of the funnel going like, I just kind of want to do what this one artist I love is doing. And then you end up with a much greater understanding of your own psyche and your own spirit at the end of it. And it's a very powerful thing in and of itself that I think everybody should experience on some level.
Artistic understanding is a rare thing, but again, if you can hit something like that to a certain degree, you know, it's all the more beneficial for you.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And yeah, so in terms of what's going on right now, what's coming out for you in the later parts of this year?
Oh goodness, there are 2 albums coming out. They have not officially been announced yet, but there are 2 ambient records coming out. One of them is called "Buy the Tools You Need with Time," which is I get fairly obsessed with the concept of time when it comes to writing records. Like it's weird, like it's literally the last couple of ambient records have hinged on time being in the title in one form or another. And I didn't actually realize it. Huh. It's all been subconscious until this most recent one that's coming out. That it's like, yeah. But then I realized that a lot of the work that I do making ambient is improvisational, and cool. I tend to lose track.
Yeah.
So I find it's very I tend to transcend time when I'm making music. So I'll start on something and then I'll look up and it'll be like 15 minutes later and it's like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Or it's like I used to have a duo project with a bass player from a band called Chapter 127, and he and I used to get in his recording space and we'd just jam. We'd look up and like 90 minutes had gone by. Boom, gone. Like what the hell? So time has always been important there. So there's that. There's another album of self-perceived ritual music coming out as well, called "You Cannot Cheat the Muse." We need more ritual in our life. Like Eno described ambient music as being equal parts wallpaper and attention-grabbing things. And you know, it's like so I have this selection of music that I've put together, which is, you know, it helps to make magic out of the mundane,
right?
As it were. I spent some time in Japan, and when I lived, because that's where the name comes from. Kuma is Japanese for bear. It was a nickname that was given to me when I lived there, and it's sort of stuck ever since.
Nice.
Hairy arms and all.
Yeah.
But when I was living in Japan, I studied the tea ceremony, and the glorious thing about the tea ceremony is that it is the most simple thing in the entire world, but it is literally making art out of the mundane. You are taking a simple act as making and serving tea, and making it transcendent.
Yeah.
And that appealed to me no end. And so we treat music so poorly. Music is wallpaper. We treat it as a commodity to be tossed aside.
I need it while I'm jogging.
So this is like, put it on, use it as background material. That's great. But if you actually listen to the stuff on this record, here is a series of universes in the palm of your hand.
Right.
Let them explode in front of you and see what happens.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff. And I've never thought about it that way, because it's like, especially with ambient music in and of itself, because I have a roommate who makes ambient music, and I'll just fall asleep to him, you know, working on his modular synth in the other room, and I'll and that's how I thought about it as. I just think about it as helping me sleep from the other side of the wall, but then I never, you know, there's almost a ritual in that sometimes.
Exactly. No, you know? Exactly. It's like, let it set the tone for what it is that you're doing. So there's that, and then I'm literally in the process right now of finishing the mixes on a remix EP that I'm doing for a gentleman, a composer out on the East Coast of the U.S. and he's essentially done a bunch of very minimal instrument-based improvisation, so like organ and piano and a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And I had heard it, and it was absolutely amazing. And I'm like, I'm stunned by this. It's like, how can we dub this out? How can we make this a little more? So I pitched the idea to him. I'm like, would you mind if I remixed it? So he sent me the stems to a handful of pieces, and what we've done is I've remixed 3 of the 4. And then the 4th one that I've remixed alongside, I believe, a local producer who you may know as a guest on this show, Kat Bryan.
Oh,
So that is, we're just finishing that up, and that is actually going to go up on Ian Manier is his name, Ian Manier, IANMANIRE.bandcamp.com.
Yeah.
That's going to go up on his Bandcamp at some point, and all his stuff that he just puts up, he puts it up and he donates whatever proceeds that come in to charity.
Cool.
So I think, given the state of the world right this time, I think that we'll probably find ourselves a good pro-abortion based charity to work with, and make sure that whatever funds we make, however small or large, out of this release, end up there.
Yeah. Well, that's something that we need to see more of. That's a current event that needs supporting, and I wholeheartedly support that. So congratulations on being so prolific.
I get bored very easily, and it's one of those things where it's just and there's other stuff too. Like I'm sitting on a drum and bass EP that I should probably put out myself. I got COVID back in April, and I spent literally the week I was on lockdown, essentially writing stuff.
Yeah.
And so I've got this finished sort of selection of material which I really like.
Yeah.
And it's weirder, and I think because again it was the headspace that I was in, like not feeling well.
Right. Yeah.
So it's this
fog.
It's this weirdly dark, foggy selection of ambient. But again, so I've got there's more material that I'm going to be shopping and trying to get out there. So always trying to keep busy.
Nice.
Never a dull moment.
Yeah. Well, then, so just to get nerdy, what's your sort of process like for sitting down and making a piece when you want to get ambient for a little while?
I've used Ableton since its very first iteration. I actually won a copy.
Oh.
in a magazine context, and I've literally just been upgrading ever since. So I've battered my way through many a copy of Ableton over the years.
Right.
But yeah, it'll be multiple sound sources loaded into Ableton.
Yeah.
And then literally just sticking some various effects on each channel. Running one of my tiny synthesizers perhaps into a channel,
right,
or running a mic and a looper, and literally I'll use my own voice, and
nice,
literally I'll loop myself up to start,
right,
and then just sort of improvise from there, triggering things, dubbing things out live.
Right.
So it's all very, there is no one pattern. It's usually let's go in, let's just start something, see where the vibe goes,
right, and
then take it back into post, and then be like, okay, and then move things around, chop things up, see it. Some stuff, when it works, I don't all I need to do is just mix it down, and it's good.
Yeah,
that's it. You're solid.
That always feels good.
And if not, then there's also stuff that I brutally chopped up, and that's turned into stuff that's made it on records.
Right.
So it's really just a case of seeing where the vibe goes. But yeah, improvisation first, and then processing.
Learn to love it second. Yeah.
Then processing afterwards, and then seeing what happens, and going from there.
Nice. Well, that's that's a familiar yet I'm very interested in seeing how people in different genres kind of do stuff, because there's always something to be learned there.
Well, if I'm writing a house tune, or if I'm writing a jungle tune, I'll write the beat, I'll write the bass line, and then I'll build everything else around it. But with the ambient stuff, and it's been like that for years, it's always just improvisation first and see what happens.
Well, that's awesome. And then when you perform live, you just typically DJ that stuff, or do you? No,
I DJ, but I've also been playing I will load everything up. So it's laptop, guitar if I want. Again, the mic, run the mic for a couple of effects, vocal mic for a couple of effects pedals.
Yeah.
Stick it into my tiny 4-channel mixer, and then everything out into the house, and just again sort of mix mix and dub live on
Yeah.
the fly and see what happens.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Do the Eno Situation. I always love watching performances like that evolve, especially when you have like limited tools and you're doing it in real time. That stuff's always so cool.
Well, yeah, and I've been very lucky. Like I've had the opportunity to improvise with people a lot over the years. Like I did a set with a guy named Graham Scott, a local guitarist who used to be in an IDM duo called Coin Gutter, but now makes solo guitar stuff under the same name, Butter City Poster Boys. We played at the Rio a couple of years ago, and it was great. I played with another guitar player named Mast, who has a record out on a label called Alpha Pup out of Los Angeles. Last time I played in Los Angeles, and again, it's always fun. Like I love improvisation because also like duo pieces are fun because then you get to it forces you to listen, and it's so much more. It's either going to be transcendent or it's going to be absolute shit.
Yeah.
There's very rarely any middle ground there, but your highs are
yeah, no,
beyond reproach.
I can identify with that because I'm currently reworking a lot of my material to play as a two-piece, and it's you gotta listen way louder than you play, and you gotta but once everything connects, then it's 100% connection. You're not sharing that connection with two other people or three other people. It's just two people just fucking vibing 100%.
Right.
Yeah, it's that's awesome. Do you have any performances coming up that anybody should know about?
Not yet, but again, given that I do have two albums coming out, that's a hard one because right now spaces in which to do ambient shows in the studio are at a premium, so we'll see what happens.
Right.
If not, maybe I'll just go live on Twitch and do that. But again, generally, it's like I'm DJing at least every week. Art Beats on CFRO 100.5 FM Thursday nights, Friday mornings at midnight. Somewhere an hour or two, you'll hear me sometimes playing live, sometimes DJing anything from house, techno, jungle, ambient, whatever. I have the compelling urge to play that with.
Awesome. Well, that's fantastic. And where can people find you on the internet if they were so inclined?
You can go to www.theconspiracygroup.com. That's conspiracy with a K. Or you can go to kuma.bandcamp.com. Or you can find me on Twitter at KumaTKG.
Beautiful. All right. And so I really appreciate you sitting down and sharing just all of the raw, unfiltered passion you have for everything that is music.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to come spread the gospel, and hopefully someone gets out there and makes a decision to make the hair on someone else's neck go up.
Yeah. Beautiful. With a callback and everything. I love it. All right. This has been Just an Aridonis podcast. I will see you some other time. Thanks.